Hey guys, welcome back to Dragon Ball Daima review, this time episode 10. Yet again, Toriyama and Daima shows us how much fun Dragon Ball can be, and the silliness and the goofiness, but also the serious dark side. This episode has both, and I kind of love it for it. We're going to start today with what we ended on last time, Majin Ku. Personally, I find him funny, and how he moves is great. His personality's fun, especially the singing comments, and just all the other little things that makes him his own character, not just a Buu clone, even though technically he kind of is a Buu clone. I also may have severely overhyped him as a bigger threat than I thought. However, he did survive to tell the tale fighting the Tamagami. Maybe he will have more development and tweaks by Dr. Arinsu. Speaking of his fight with the Tamagami, it was quick and yet entertaining. It was clear that the power difference between the two wasn't absolutely overwhelming, but it was enough that Ku could not beat him no matter how hard he tried. I'm assuming since that he was literally newly born into this world, we haven't seen much that makes him unique, as what we did see was kind of generic for Dragon Ball fights. I'd say that he fought like a reined-in Kid Buu without the stretchy powers, which makes sense because that's exactly what she kind of wanted. I wonder if he will discover new things about his body from both the Cyberman side and the Buu side. This could be things such as the acid thing from his head that I mentioned in the last episode, or regeneration or absorption, or any of the other things Buu can do. On to his opponent. Tamagami number 1 was cool. A lot more stoic than number 3. Seems to be all seriousness and no playing games. But I believe number 3 also came off that way at first, so who knows? When the guard showed up, he didn't pipe up and tell them anything, so he clearly is minding his own business and only cares about challengers to the Dragon Ball. Speaking of Dragon Ball, we should really just call this series Dragon Ball Lore instead of Daima, because damn, every week we're getting new huge lore drops, and this week was no exception. If anyone had any lingering doubts of Daima not only being canon, but also directly connected to Super, this episode blows away those thoughts even more than when the other universes were casually mentioned episodes ago. The Demon Realm used to have a good Supreme Demon Realm King, and he looks amazing. He has the authority, regality, and attitude you'd expect of a strong magical king. Not only that, but he is responsible for the creation of the universe outside of the Demon Realm. Just how powerful was he if he was ordering the Super Majin Remus around like that? Remus is very clearly the same race as Grand Zeno. I've seen some people online speculate that Remus is responsible for creation specifically, and Zeno may be his opposite as he has only been seen destroying things. It's possible, but I think that it's more realistic that Zeno is a relative or descendant of this being who was once in charge of the universe outside the Demon Realm. This universe creation story also explains how there are Namekians in both Universe 6 and 7. Saiyans and Earthlings, however, evolved independently in these universes. The Grand Remus is also responsible for setting up how all the universe's power structure was handled between Glins and the God of Destruction to create. We know at some point before the end of Dragon Ball there were 18 universes, but who's there to say there weren't more than all that at the beginning? Another thing I was happy about was actually seeing Abura's design instead of him just being casually mentioned, as it been in previous episodes. His design fits for what we know of him, being evil, greedy, and self-centered, and seemingly the first one to start the evil line of rulers in the Demon Realm as Dabura's father. I would put money on it that he is a child of the first Supreme Demon Realm King, and went bad somewhere along the way. It's sad to see that the Glin species are going extinct. I may be reading between the lines, but I think it may be due to rebelling against Abura. He may have done something to cause it, such as killing their trees. Sadly, this episode implies that the Kaiju tree I've referenced a few times in the past that I thought existed in the Universe 7 was retconned out of existence. Either Toriyama forgot about it or just didn't want it anymore. Changing gears to a little bit less lore-heavy, the part where Vegeta was being very overprotective of Bulma like he is in Dragon Ball Super was just a treat to watch. I loved how he would not let anyone even entertain the idea of taking her away from him. And then Piccolo confirming the joke of him being into big boobs was just golden. I can't wait to hear Chris Sabat dub that scene as he is both Vegeta and Piccolo. Vegeta has given us a good few laughs in this show. Him underestimating the Kraken in this episode and his reaction to it was definitely up there. Last but not least, I want to talk about just how much of a bad hand the Namekians were dealt. We learned that most of them were treated basically as slaves to the Demon Realm Kings. We saw this on display in the first episode, with Neva being coerced by Goma to get Earth's Dragon Balls. It's really sad to see that after escaping these conditions on their world, that they later had to deal with Frieza barging in and more or less doing the same thing to them, and then having to relocate a second time inside Universe 7. but that they likely have to put up with the same problems from evil beings in their universes as well. It's tragic that Toriyama wrote such a heartbreaking backstory for the Namekian species, especially considering that Piccolo is his favorite character. But it's also very well done. All in all, this episode delivered more laughs, more adventure, and more lore. Everything that this series has been so far, and then some. I'm gonna guess we're gonna be getting this on almost every episode. We've only had one episode that was mostly action, and that was the fight between Goku and number 3. So, I'm excited, as I've said every week, to see the next week's episode and see where this is going. I don't really have many critiques. I like it all. Majin Ku is better than everyone expected him to be, in my opinion. This is just a good-ass show. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.